Hello and welcome to Finextra. I'm Hannah Wallace and we're here today in Toronto for Sibos 2017. Joining me is Hoehne and Constantin von Altrock from IBM, and we're going to be talking about the challenges banks face around fraud and security. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
First of all, can you tell me what are some of the challenges banks are talking to IBM about?
Yeah, they're facing a lot of challenges right now. Ultimately, the cost of compliance and the cost of loss in fraud. It's just the outdated methods that they've been using are now catching up with them. We're seeing loss costs exceed their budgets. We're starting to see the cost of compliance skyrocketing, and they're really looking for help in terms of how do we get a handle on both these things.
We also hear that they are at a tight squeeze because on one hand the criminals are deploying more and more sophisticated schemes to defraud the financial system, where at the same time they're under the pressure of reducing the number of false alerts because they are detrimental for the customer experience.
Why are we seeing these challenges?
Well, partially because of the sophistication of the bad guys. They're getting much more creative. The financial impacts are greater. The regulators are putting more pressure on the banks to stay in front of this. And the result a lot of times is an impact on the clients because the false positives get in the way of doing business. They also create a lot of costs for them. But it's really the sophistication that the bad guys are undertaking, the complexities of what they're having to unravel to find those bad guys and comply with regulation.
It's also that over the past years the organization of the criminal gangs has improved. So they have specific groups that test out and develop fraud mechanisms, and then they test drive them in certain regions of the world, and when they work well they actually export them. They sell off their IP to other criminal gangs. And we are at the position where we sometimes see how the gangs are testing out fraud patterns that later appear in other parts of the world. That puts us in a position, fortunately, to detect these patterns early enough so that we can immunize our customers before these fraud patterns hit them.
Yeah, if you think about it, what happens is the bad guys can collude. It's very difficult for banks and other institutions to collude and work together because of regulations. The bad guys don't have to worry about privacy issues. We sort of have to worry about privacy issues. And the bad guys really don't have to fill out ROIs and go through procurement. They just try to apply the technology. We have to go through many steps that are often governed by things like procurement and regulation that slow us down. So it's putting the industry in a very difficult, challenging position.
All right, and what's next on the agenda? How are we going to tackle these challenges?
The advances in augmented intelligence and the things that we're doing with Watson create a new way of thinking about the problem. In the past, if you look at what we did, it was more traditional solutions. What we did with Watson in the health industry, partnering with Sloan Kettering to improve the way we actually do cancer treatments by bringing together the power of augmented intelligence with the expertise, is really what we're doing now, bringing together Watson with our acquisition of Promontory to bring that regulatory expertise in, and bringing in acquisitions like Constantin's business to really improve the way in which we're using augmented intelligence combined with the expertise to create new innovative solutions and approaches. And we're now starting to see these take root and manifest, whether it's our cognitive accelerators to help clients better deal with the overflow of false positive alerts, doing enhanced due diligence on looking up dossiers on individuals that may be high risk much more quickly, and using Safer Payments to bring that augmented intelligence into the payment channels.
Since you talked about Safer Payments, let me give you an example of a real-world application of it. We are protecting entire countries from fraud using Safer Payments. For example, France. We are processing 7 billion transactions per year, scrutinize each and every one of them for fraud, and make decisions within milliseconds, so we can actually decline fraudulent transactions before they occur. And the result of that is that we have broken the fraud trend in France. The French fraud numbers are declining. At the same time, we are only having like 10% of the false positive alerts, which are disruption to the customer, that comparable installations at other parts of the world have.
It's exciting because it has changed the paradigm in how we attack fraud. We're using the augmented intelligence to inform the analyst, this is what to look for. They never knew what to look for. And so this is exciting.
Gentlemen, thank you for taking the time to speak with me today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching.